TK the Science Guy.
TK the Science Guy.
TK the Science Guy.
Apes rule.
TK the Science Guy.
Wind power. I'm a big fan.
Todd.
TK the Science Guy.
TK the Science Guy.
Hey CW Bio, Mr. Kennedy here. Today I just have a very simple demonstration for you that I'd like you to write up and put in your notebook. This is the case of the sad salad. Now, the handout for this can be found on our class webpage in the section on cell transport. If you want to see what it looks like, there it is, okay? So I have some very simple things here in front of me to demonstrate the case of the sad salad. And what I'd like you to do is to recreate this experiment in your notebook and draw what you see happening all the way through the different types of cell transport that are occurring, okay? There's actually some pictures in the handout to help you, which I'll show you in just a second. Before I do that, I want to show you what materials I have sitting out in front of me. All right, for this demo, we don't need very much. We've got 2 plastic beakers, a few carrots, some string, and some salt. So in this part of the experiment, what Mr. Kennedy is going to do is I'm going to take some of these carrots here, and I'm going to tie a piece of string around them. And as I tie the string, I want to tie it nice and tight, okay? And tie this string, and you don't have to make like a fancy, knot or anything, but just, tie the string nice and tight. I'm gonna do that for all of my carrot pieces here. I'm gonna have 6 total, right? I'm gonna have 6 total carrot pieces, and each one's gonna have a string. Okay, so I put strings on every one of these carrots, and while you're looking at it, I want you to notice the firm texture of the carrot, okay? Just sort of take note of that, and how tight the string is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this carrot and 2 of its buddies in distilled water, and I'm gonna leave them there overnight. I'm gonna take this carrot and 2 of its buddies, and I'm gonna put it in salt water, and again, leave it in there overnight, and we're gonna see what happens. Okay, so there's the first batch sitting in the distilled water where they're gonna sit for the night. And here's the second batch taking a swim in salt water where they're gonna sit for the night. Now what I want you to do is to create 2 diagrams that look just like that for your notebook, okay? And after this experiment is over, we're gonna collect some data from these carrot sticks and use that data to determine what kind of cell transport has gone on. Has diffusion happened? Has osmosis happened? What are we seeing? Your data from this experiment is going to go into a data table that you can find in that handout from our class webpage titled Sad Salad. That's what your data table is going to look like. Once your data table is complete, then we're going to answer a few conclusion questions. So that's it, gang. That's the case of the sad salad, how it's set up, and what we're looking for. In about 24 hours, we're going to come back, check these out, and like I said, record data and see what happened. Okay, gang, it's been 24 hours. It's time to see what happened to our sad salad. Here's our carrots. I left them there yesterday to float in fresh water and salt water. You can see that one's the salt water, okay? Interestingly enough, all the carrots are now floating. I'm gonna take them out one at a time and show them to you, and then we're gonna use that information to complete this data table to help us figure out what happened in each of these cases. We're gonna look at the thread to see if it's loose or tight. We're gonna look at the carrot itself to see if it's soft or firm, and we're gonna record that in this data table. So I'm gonna start taking these carrots out, and as I take the carrots out, remember, we're gonna fill in this data table, right, together, and use that to interpret whether or not diffusion, osmosis, or something else has happened with these carrots. So let's get started. I'm gonna start with my fresh water. And as I take these out, I'm gonna set them here on the paper. Okay, this is the distilled water, or fresh water as I just described it. Now, as I go down my data table, the first thing it said is the thread loose? I don't know about you, but that thread looks pretty tight. It cut into the side, okay? As far as texture is concerned, if I grab it, you can see it's still really hard, okay? There's no bend, real significant bend to it at all. Firm texture, okay? So the thread is tight and the texture is firm. The other things that you're gonna look for on the data table is, did the cells gain water? Did the cells lose water? Well, if the thread is even tighter now than it was when you started, what do you think? So now I'm gonna take the carrots out of the salt water and let's look at what happened to them. Okay, there's one. There's two. And the third. Well, if I ask the same set of questions that I did the last batch of carrots, is the thread tight or loose? Look at that. This thread is coming off. It's so loose I can get the forceps underneath it. Okay? And as far as texture is concerned, these guys are way more bendy than the other ones. Way more bendy. So, if you're filling in your data table, you should be checking the box for loose thread. If the texture boxes, you should be looking at a soft texture. And then you ask yourself, is it gaining water or losing water? Well, if it was firm before and floppy now, what do you think? So, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the case of the sad salad. Remember, you're gonna write this experiment up, and in your write-up, you're gonna have pictures that look like that. And in your pictures, you need to draw arrows to explain where things moved. If a carrot stick gained water, there should be an arrow pointing with the word water into the carrot, and vice versa. Same thing with the salt. You're also going to use the data in your data table to help you answer the questions that follow. So gang, that's the case of the sad salad. I hope you've learned a little bit about diffusion, osmosis, in carrots, in plants. I'm Mr. Kennedy. I'll see you next time.
TK the Science Guy.
TK the Science Guy.
TK the Science Guy.
Apes rule.
TK the Science Guy.
Wind power. I'm a big fan. TK the Science Guy.
TK the Science Guy.